Morning everyone, it is about 5:30 AM, obviously, on Sunday morning. Slept really well last night actually. I managed to get a video edited in the tent last night. I got pretty behind in Walker. Oh, sorry, water's boiling, 2 seconds. There we go, turned it down. Yeah, I got pretty behind in Walker because the internet was absolutely shocking. That was the only problem. So there probably has been a pretty big gap in videos. Sorry. Yeah, but slept really well after that, and woken up this morning to memories of some very strange dreams. Just saying to Amelia, they're always kind of like, you can remember feelings, but you can't remember events and things like that. It's really weird. It's like very ephemeral. But anyway, it's breakfast time now, and as I said, water's just boiled for the coffee. And then there wasn't a great deal of choice for breakfast items in Walker, so I've ended up with some Rice Krispie bars. Beggars can't be choosers, as the saying goes. Anyway, gonna finish the breakfast off, get packed up, and get moving. So far there's no condensation on the tents either, which I'm very surprised about, seeing as though we're in a valley and next to a river. It should make packing up a bit easier.
It's just after 7 AM. We've just climbed a little ways out of camp up this climb this morning. Come to an opening in the tree canopy where you can see these huge granite faces towering above us. And then this really beautiful little waterfall tucked away in the corner here. How nice is that? Oh. And now climbing up again. Look at the sun peeping through the valley there as well. I really think first thing in the morning or early morning, doesn't have to be super early, but early morning and evening have to be the best 2 times of the day to hike, especially if you're wanting to take some nice pictures or some decent video footage. Just the way the sun comes through these little valleys, and sometimes you see it filtering through the trees as well. Just creates some really nice patterns and effects sometimes. So I think most people watching, most regulars, will know that I like to camp higher up as opposed to lower down in a valley. It's just personal preference. I love the if you've got an open view at the top, being able to look out across the landscape. It's also nicer to see the night sky as well and get a good view. I know it opens you up sometimes to weather if you're in an exposed location, but I like to throw myself at a climb late in the day, get at the top of it, and find a real nice spot to camp. Amelia's a little different in the fact that she needs to account for doing the climbs first thing in the morning, because that's when she's got most energy. So that's why we ended up in the valley last night. And it was actually a nice campsite, I've got to admit. It was nice and sheltered and peaceful. I had a really, really good night's sleep. So much so that I just switched my alarm off this morning and went back to sleep for 45 minutes. But the fact that she's not got many days left on trail, I did just suggest to her today, why don't we try and get to the top of a climb tonight and camp up high, so you've got like at least one nice view in your last few days from campsite. I think she's wanting me to try and take one of the star photos with a tent as well. So it'd be cool to try and do that up top. But this is a nice hike at the moment. This tree looks quite nice as well here. Strangely shaped trunk. Oh. Right, so that's a really cool view. I wish the scale of things would come out on the camera. It never ever does. If you're a photographer or you take much video yourself, you'll know, like, you can look at a view like that with a naked eye and think, wow, that is pretty grand. That's a big scale. Those rock faces are huge. And then you can look at it on the camera, and I know myself, it does come out looking pretty bland a lot of the time. Try and convey some of the enthusiasm and the grandeur of it. So nice. I love being up high, like I say, and being able to look down across the landscape. I think that's why I like climbing so much, going uphill, because you know that 9 out of 10 times you're going to get a pretty cool view at the top. Looks like we're switching back up this granite face. Should hopefully be hitting some sunshine soon. We're just approaching mile 1031, and we've climbed up to the top of a peak. Some really cool little views, well, big views, and some little camp spots here. Nice little outcrop down there with some flattish spots. Whether I'd be man enough to camp down there or not, I don't know, because it looks like you could quite easily roll off the edge. But there's certainly some nice views up here. Got a couple of thank yous to mention. Terry G and Chris K on Buy Me a Coffee. That was really nice of you. Thank you very much, guys. Glad you're watching. Glad you're enjoying the most of the videos. And then Ian J. I couldn't believe that one. Thank you very much, man. That's really, really nice of you. Got your super thanks on YouTube. And then I kind of put two and two together from your message, realised who you were, and yeah, it was great to meet you guys. I hope you had a nice trip and didn't get eaten alive too much by the mosquitoes, but you've chosen a really, really nice section to backpack through. So yeah, I hope you had a nice trip, and thank you very much for your kind words, and as I say, really nice to meet you out in the wilds. So happy trails to you in future. Alright, so we just come out of this forest and it's been a gradual climb, it's not been anything too nasty. We've been looking at the map and thinking like, oh, this doesn't look good, but I think it's nowhere near as bad as we've been imagining. But most of the rock in here has been granite in amongst this forest. It's been almost like being back in the Sierras with all these big granite rocks. And literally we've just come out onto this clearing and obviously these flowers have appeared. But just take a look at this huge volcanic deposit or volcanic formation. It is massive, and you can kind of make out, maybe probably not on the video, but you can kind of make out some of the hexagonal columns that have kind of collapsed. So you see all these little boulders basically and rocks. At one point, I believe, they were all kind of like upright hexagonal columns, and they've all been weathered and eroded and fallen down. If you've ever heard of the Devil's Toenail in, I think it's possibly Wyoming, if you just maybe Google that and you'll see just like this huge volcanic plug sticking up out of the ground. And that is, when you get up close to that is just made up of these huge, tall hexagonal columns all jointed together. Giant's Causeway in Ireland is another one that's got the hexagonal columns, and I think we skipped past it on the detour, unfortunately, but on this trail, the Devil's Post Pile, I think is a similar thing. But as I say, this one is all weathered and eroded down, but it's just such a huge contrast to see. Really interesting. So my geology is very limited and based on knowledge that was learned when I was like 17. But if that's what I think it is, that's another volcanic plug that's literally, if you almost think of like the Earth's crust as being your skin, and think of this as basically a giant spot that's come up from underneath your skin and burst through the surface. It's not a very nice analogy, but it was the first one that sprang to mind. That's pretty much what it is. I think maybe somebody will correct me out there with better knowledge, but that's why it's kind of like so localized and you've just got it in this one area. If my geology teacher, God rest his soul, could hear me now, he's probably shaking his head with his head in his hands. Like, you've got it all wrong, you idiot. But anyway, like I say, I love seeing contrasts like that, whether it be like the colours in the sky against the green trees or something like that, or just the different types of rock just right next to each other, but created by like totally different processes. It's really, really interesting to me, but it's probably not interesting to anyone else, so I'll shut up about it. Yeah, it's pretty big as well. I was just telling Amelia that like this is what a lot of Oregon is like, and you kind of walk a lot across this stuff. It's got a reputation for kind of tearing people's shoes to pieces, playing havoc with your feet, causing twisted ankles in places and things like that. So yeah, it's just I've just since Walker, I've just been I would say, suffering from a little lack of enthusiasm regarding videos for several different reasons. But I can feel myself just getting a little bit more animated talking about that, so maybe that's a good thing, maybe it isn't. Who knows? So whilst there's not a huge amount of bugs on this section, there are actually some here and there. I ran out of the stuff I used. I think it was called Nat Repel, a little spray bottle. I ran out of that on the last section before I got to Walker, or when I got to Walker. And there wasn't, unfortunately, a great deal of choice in Walker. I was hoping with there being like a fly fishing store there, there would be some decent anti-bug stuff, but no. The fly fishing store was actually more of a coffee shop with a few fishing bits in, rather than the other way around. Nice place though, nice coffee, very nice breakfast burrito. So I just had to get a can of, it's just called Off, and it's just a spray. I think it's more of like a household name rather than a specialised hiking thing. But it seems to be doing the job so far. I put it on my legs, and it just seems to be flies that are landing on my legs, not mosquitoes. So it must be doing something. It's a nice view to my right though, real nice with the clouds in the sky and the little patches of snow on the peaks. Well, I've got the camera zoomed in as far as it'll go, just to try and give you a view of this other volcanic plug, where you can still see the hexagonal columns at the top and the way they've all kind of degraded and eroded off and broken down the side. It doesn't look very big from here, but we saw this one maybe half a mile or a mile back. It was absolutely huge, sticking out of the earth. So they are pretty big structures. You can see how, I think it forms the hexagonal columns, something to do with how it cools when it hits the air. Can't quite remember, but I'm pretty sure it's something to do with that. I thought I'd better just give you a quick update now. It's 4:20. We're at mile 1040.5. Just stopped to pick up some water. Believe it or not, after the heat we had this morning, it's actually raining. Not a great deal at all, just kind of like a few spots at the moment, but you can maybe tell from the camera that it's a little bit darker than it has been. There's still sunshine and blue skies in places, but yeah, there's a few spots coming down. I think it's the first rain I've felt, blooming heck, I'll say for a long time. because I can't remember the last time I felt rain. Whew. But we're just on our way up another little climb now. Oh, beautiful campsite in there on the right, almost like perfectly flat. Really nice.
Alright, so we have made camp around mile 1042. We've been here for maybe an hour and a half or so. Plenty of time to have some food and escape. We're just near a little lake, Lake Asa, I think it's called, or Asa. It's just kind of just behind us, and there's a few bugs around, but not too bad. Nothing anywhere near as bad as it has been recently. The rain didn't last long either. It was literally like a few spots, and that was pretty much it. So nothing to worry about there. It's a big camping area, big tent area in the forest. There's a couple of guys over the other side, but still loads and loads of space. And we've got about 49 miles to do to get to South Lake Tahoe still. So a little over 3 days maybe. We're kind of thinking about 15 miles a day. So see you tomorrow, guys. Good night.